paid, you went home. When your contract was up, you went somewhere else. I mean, that's it. It was a job, man. It was a paycheck, and that's the reality. And that's why it stunk, because there was no accountability. It became a place to come and get paid and produce minimally for the amount that you were being paid. And now, hopefully, and I think we've seen it, breath of fresh air. Whatever you want to think about the talent level, which is going to continue to be built on over the next few years, it's nowhere near a finished product. As long as this front office continues to keep that accountability, you're going to just continue to see this team become whatever you think it is now. It will become what you want it to be, because that's where you create that, and you continue to, and that's where you get the best production. Guys, stop trying. Think about your own self. Wherever you're sitting listening to the show right now, I can think about myself working in radio or doing my wrestling gig. You look around and you see, okay, I want to be where this guy is, or I want to do this job, or I want this opportunity, and you work towards it. But if you show up every day, and I'm not talking about, well, I just think I deserve. I'm talking about you show up every day. You say, hey, I want to earn this position. And for 2 years, 3 years, however long, you show up and you dig at it and you work at it. And then you get passed over. Of course, you start to feel, wow, man, how did that happen? And maybe the first one doesn't shake you, but maybe the second time or the third time you start going, man, what do I got to do? How much harder do I got to work? You start, and then some people, I'm not saying you, but some people will then start trying a little less harder. They'll still work. You'll still show up, but you know the difference when you show up to work trying to do something and when you show up to work trying to wait until 5 o'clock so you can go home, or wait until whatever time it is. We all know what those days feel like. Same thing there. And that's what you had. The equivalent to that, except these cats was just showing up, going to work, and then going home, So that accountability is huge. And letting a guy go on a Tuesday, I keep jokingly tagging on a Tuesday to it because of that song that's out there, but letting Ben Tate go on a Tuesday really does show that, because they still owe dude some money, and although they saved a bit of money too by doing what they did, and exactly, you get what you get, but that shows everybody now, man, and it continues to show them that it doesn't matter how you got here or how much they pay you. You got to work out each week, you got to practice each week, you got to play. And I think Josh Gordon here is going to be a part of that too. He's going to be, as much as everybody wants to see him just thrown out there and pick up where he left off, he's going to play a portion of the reps this week, because just like Mike Pettin said, when he said we got to be smart about it, he's not just referring to Josh Gordon being in football shape. He's referring to the loyalty to the guys that didn't fail a drug test and didn't miss the first 10 weeks of the season, the guys that are the reason that the team is 6-4. He's not going to just minimize them and say, okay, you guys are going to split the remainder of the reps, but we're going to give the lion's share to this guy over here. So that's the same thing there. And that's going to go a long way too, because if that does happen, if all of a sudden all the other wideouts are getting 2 targets a game and Josh Gordon's getting 20, how do you think those guys feel about the work that they put in? How do you think the next group of guys is going to work? That doesn't happen. And then you're in the black hole that you've been in year after year after year. So that's what he means by we've got to be smart about it. But I love that. Guys, I'm telling you, whatever you think of the current state of the Browns talent level, that is in flux. But the state of the organization, to me, for the first time in forever, is the kind of organization that can be built into a winner because of stuff like that, because of holding guys accountable and showing everybody, hey, man, if you play, if you do your job the best, you will get the opportunity. And guys believe that, and they try harder, man. I'm telling you. And you're seeing it. You guys are seeing it yourself. When you keep going, man, how are they doing it with undrafted guys? How are they doing? How is Taylor Gabriel leading the league or second in the league, whatever he is, in yards per reception? How are they doing it? How's Miles Austin? Just everything he catches is a first down. Everything, he doesn't have a million catches, but the ones that he does have, they're all big. And the answer is they were all given opportunity. And they all went out there and did their best and did the best at their position, and then were given the opportunity in the games, and they saw it pay off, so they worked that much harder, and that's why, and that's the accountability that comes with that, man, and that goes a long way into creating the type of team that you guys want it to be. I mean, that's all you can ask for. People, you talk about the great coaches, your favorite coaches. I grew up on Marty. I mean, obviously, Sam was there when I was younger, but like when I really got into knowing who the coach was and his personality, my first real Browns head coach was Marty, when I was really kind of knowledgeable and knowing, man. And that's what he had, the accountability. But then, the difference there is your organization lost credibility because you had the owner that came in from over the top and would put his hands and fingerprints on things too. So, and he ended up with, that's why Marty Schottenheimer became the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs and so on and so forth. So, and I was worried about that. I know a lot of you guys were too. How many people were thinking, man, supposedly Jimmy Haslam's got the thing for Johnny Football, and he made the call, and the stories that came out of him handing the card in himself and all of that stuff, and who knows, whatever, the urban legends of draft stories. But, how many people didn't think that the thumb wasn't being pushed down from on top? Hey, we want to see the first round pick. And how many franchises would have played him? Most of them would have ended up starting him over Hoyer, and this isn't even to get into that conversation. So you hear it in the background. You know where I'm going. Say what you want about the talent level, but the Browns, Mike Pettin, they're doing it their way. And if he learned nothing else, it was the last guy couldn't figure out whose way he was doing it, and he didn't get to do it for very long. I intend on staying here for a while, and we're going to get this right. So, but that's what I think it shows right there. There, no doubt in my mind that wherever you are in the Browns rebuild, reboot, whatever, the top of the organization is solid. And we'll talk some more about that tomorrow. Of course, Kendall Lewis is here. We start rolling into it, getting ready for Atlanta coming up this weekend. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, let's switch to the hardwood a bit, because the focus of sports, at least for today here, not a whole lot elsewhere. So it comes down on downtown Cleveland. As we speak, they're down on East 4th. I think Sports Center is broadcasting from there all day. Cavs and the Spurs, and LeBron's first meeting with Tim Duncan and those Spurs since the finals that really led to everything that led us to where we are here. Let's talk about that. We'll talk some OSU hoops. Man, did you guys see the Kansas? We'll talk about all of that here. Dan Wismar is going to join us. Got a lot to get into, and I'm cracking the phones. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. When we come back, we're talking Cavs, Buckeyes, and so much more. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Sports Fix, baby, right here on the Sports Fix Radio Network. We'll be right back.
The Sports Fix, the show that asks the question,
what you talking about, Will? What you talking about, Will? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Will? What you talking about? What you talking about, Will? What you talking about? What you talking about, Will?
We'll be right back.
Sports Fix listeners, you've heard me talking about it. Millionaires being made all season long at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. I've been playing there too. It's now J-Rock's favorite one-week fantasy football site. What's one-week fantasy football? That means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Have a player who's hurt? That's no problem at all, because you change everything week to week. Injuries don't derail your chance at victory. It's a new season every week. You're never stuck with the same players. You can pick your team in just minutes and be on your way to winning huge cash. This season, one listener turned $10 into $5,000. Another turned $2 into $10,000. And a new millionaire has been crowned nearly every week this season at DraftKings.com. You could be next. Imagine winning $1 million in one day. $1 million just for playing fantasy football at DraftKings.com. Head to DraftKings.com now and use promo code Spreaker to play for free in the $10 million Fantasy Football World Championships. DraftKings.com. Bigger events, bigger winnings, bigger millionaires. Enter Spreaker.com.
Heart Radio. Download the free iHeart app today. Subscribe to the show and get your fix.
You love Cleveland, and you already know how much we love Cleveland. You know who else loves Cleveland? GV Art and Design. Everyday fans, you and I wear our pride on our sleeves. Now, you can wear your pride on your chest. GV Art and Design has one of the hottest Cleveland sporting lines. Log on right now to gvartwork.com. Check out all of their fantastic designs.
And don't forget, use the sales code FIX10, FIX10 to save 10% on your total purchase.
Follow gvartwork.com on Facebook, and remember, GV Art and Design, it's not just a shirt, it's a statement.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen. Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live. J-Rock with you here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Back at it here. You hear it. I love the Gotta Make It Happen Cavs tonight. Cavs in the Spurs, center of the ESPN world, as they're here broadcasting all day. I think they're broadcasting the game tonight. And I'll tell you what, man. I got a buddy who's got a couple sets of tickets, and we were talking last night. He's got a couple sets of season tickets, and of course, some games are for entertainment purposes, and some games are for a more business-like purpose. And last night, he's not a fan of the Spurs at all, because they just play the most boring, successful game of basketball to him, and we get into it all the time, and I'm always 5-15. He's like, I don't care, I hate Tim Duncan. I said, you hate him because all he does is win championships. I love Tim Duncan, I do. Hey guys, you guys know that the Spurs, to me, for years, this is nothing new, have been one of my favorite organizations because of the way they do things, the way the organization is built, man. It makes you superstar proof. Not just that you don't need them, but you're unable to be the Cavs after LeBron. Any of the teams after, when you have to blow up and implode and do it all over again. When it's not star-centric, when your universe isn't centered around one planet, then you never have to realign your stars. You just have to readjust. You just have to change the polar pull or whatever, You don't have to completely blow up the entire universe and start all over again, man. It's an organization built for success. But we always get into it because he's always, hey, Tim Duncan's the most boring player in the world. I said, man, that's fine, Mr. Big Fundamental, baby. But anyways, he was torn because he said, man, I can make a lot of money off of these tickets tonight because it's a hot ticket, man. He's like, but man, that's going to be a good game, man. That's the only time San Antonio was here. I said, brother, go to the game, man. I said, that's going to be a good one tonight. And if the Cavs, I'll tell you what, Cavs better show up. They better not show up like they did the other night. They show up like they did the other night. San Antonio will show them what teamwork is all about. And that's not a bad thing either, by the way, because you get a firsthand example of where you're trying to be, or what kind of team. I know this is just innocuous stuff, but being on the court, hearing the way they communicate with each other. I mean, it's not like I'm not saying these cats have never played the Spurs before, but the point being is, if you're constantly learning as a player in any sport or whatever, there's always things you can get. So there's going to be a lot of examples out there on the court and in the game film that you watch afterwards, and in your recollection of different different things that'll happen tonight that could go a long way towards that as well. Everybody, I know I saw ESPN, of course, they try to make it LeBron versus the Spurs, whatever, man. It's not anything like that, but that's the focus because he's played the Spurs 3 times in the finals with the Heat and, of course, with the Cavs here. And, you know, that one last year is pretty much the genesis for him bailing on Miami and coming back here and all of that stuff. It gave him a nice things ended up well. Things ended up well for LeBron. But anyways, yeah, I'm not even going to go there.